No, I just put it there because it's only 60%. Just put it here.
Medical log and Lieutenant Commander X-ray. This log is being started because the possibility appears to exist that the commander of this ship may be mentally disturbed. March 5th, 1944. This evening, as usual, we were showing a Hopalong Cassidy movie on the forecastle. Will you please stop this picture? That's on deck. May I ask why I wasn't notified this movie was being shown?
Sir, last week you told me you couldn't look at another Western, so I just assumed you...
You assumed this was calculated disrespect to your commanding officer. All right? There will be no more movies for 30 days.
May 28, 1944. Morale couldn't be lower. The crew was resentful. The officers just going through the motions of carrying out orders. This afternoon, the captain decided to hold a general drill for the instruction and safety of the crew.
This is the captain speaking. A great many men have ignored my orders about wearing battlegear. So there's only one way to drive the point home. Every man not wearing a helmet or life jacket will be docked 3 days liberty. I see you. I want that knocked off. Stop putting on that gear. It's Keith, sir. Put that man down there without a life jacket on the floor. Which one, sir? That one down there on #1 machine gun. You people think you're very clever. Well, you're not fooling me. Get that red-headed fellow over there. That one there.
Sir, it's impossible to tell which one is red-headed. They're all wearing their helmets.
Keith, you're an idiot. This is the captain speaking. Some misguided sailors on this ship still think they can pull a fast one on us. Well, they're very much mistaken. If you take this course, the innocent will be punished with a guilty. There will be no liberty for any member of this crew for 3 months. I will not be made a fool of. Do you hear me?
July 30, 1944. Today we received a gift from the officers of the USS Pink. A gallon of frozen strawberries. I was checking the watch at 1 in the morning when I stopped to speak to Ensign Keith. How's it going?
Situation quiet. Captain's been put away for the night.
Layoff.
Steve, you know that I was with you and against John in the beginning. But I don't see how they can keep going like this much longer. No shit can.
You haven't the experience to know one way or the other.
I'm not blind. I watched the man.
All right. Captain's in rocky shape, but he'll come out of it. He's got to.
Mr. Keegan, Captain wants a meeting with all officers right away.
At 1 o'clock in the morning?
Yes, sir.
You know what it's about?
Yes, sir. Strawberries.
Sure, this is the gallon can.
Yes, sir. It's a large can. Just took it from the pantries.
I suppose you're wondering why I called this meeting. As you all know by now,
Well,
we're
that's
next
what we
to
do.
dinner tonight. Ice cream and frozen strawberries. Well, about an hour ago, I sent Wick into the pantry to bring me another portion. He came back with the ice cream. All right. But he said, sir, there ain't no more strawberries. Now, gentlemen, I do not believe that the officers of this ship consumed a full gallon of strawberries at dinner tonight, and I intend to prove it. Eric, how many portions of ice cream and strawberries did you have?
2, sir.
Wicker, throw out a scoop of sand for each portion of strawberries.
Yes, sir.
Keeper, how many for you?
3, Captain.
Keith,
2, sir.
Marty,
2, sir.
Painter,
2, sir.
Comedy,
2, sir.
Yorkson,
2, sir.
Pratt,
2, sir.
and the steward's mates had 3, right, Whittaker?
Yes, sir. One helping each, sir. Mr. Keith, he said it was okay. Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
I had 4. And 2,
What's that?
24 questions in all.
Sugar. So it should be strawberries out of that.
Now, gentlemen, this terrain holds
I don't know if that's strawberries.
strawberries we have for dinner tonight, right, Whittaker?
Yes, sir.
Mr. Merrick, take a look at this gallon can and tell me how much sand is left.
Maybe a quart or a little less.
Okay? Have any of you gentlemen an explanation for the quart of missing strawberries? There'll be no doubt someone else finished them for us. As of now, gentlemen, we're all appointed a board of investigation to find out who's responsible for this theft.
You have a
senior member.
You mean in the morning, sir?
Now, Mr. Merrick, according to my watch, it does not mean in the morning. It means 0147. I expect a full report by 0800.
Fucking lovely, yeah.
All right, pipe down. The faster we get this done, the faster we'll get some sleep. Send in the Miss Stewart one at a time for questioning. Yes, sir.
If only the strawberries had been poisoned, all our problems would have been solved. Strawberries, eh?
Unsatisfactory.
Sorry, kid. We kept the Miss boys and the cook most of the night. They may be lying, but it's a dead end.
We couldn't keep covering the same ground endlessly, sir.
Gentlemen, you spent the entire night and accomplished nothing, while I thought the whole thing out very clearly. Did it ever occur to you that some bright boy might have made a duplicate key to the wardroom icebox?
Sir, there's no indication.
There are some things we must assume, Mr. Merrick, in order to be a good officer. Now, back at 37, when I was a lowly ensign on a cruiser, 5 pounds of cheese was missing. Everybody was willing to forget about it, but not me. I snooped around, found some chow hound that made a wax impression of the icebox key. I made him confess and got myself a nice letter of commendation. This looks to me like exactly the same situation.
But, sir, we can't be sure there's a
You've
duplicate.
tried every other solution, haven't you? Now, I worked out a very simple plan. First, we collect every key on this ship and tag it with the name of the owner. Second, we strip all hands to make sure we've got all the keys. Third, we test each key on the icebox padlock, and the one that fits will give us the name of the owner.
But, Captain, how do we know there's such a key?
I say there's a key.
Captain, what's to prevent this bright boy from tossing the key overboard?
No. He'd never toss it overboard after he's gone to all the trouble to make it. He may try to hide it, but we'll find it.
I never thought of that, sir.
No, stand there. Get on the ball. We ought to have a little fun for a change. Now that we've some detective work to do.
Yes, sir.
Steve, join me in if you want. But this is it. This is over the line. Tweak is a paranoid, or there's no such thing as paranoia.
Tom, I warned you.
Can't you see what he's doing? He's reenacting the big triumph of his career, the cheese investigation. He still wants to prove he's the red-hot ensign tweak of 1937. There is no cheese.
What happened to the strawberries?
Does it matter? Is it worth turning a ship upside down? Would anyone but a crazy man do it? Steve, are you familiar with Article 184 of Navy regulations?
Maybe.
Yeah. Listen to this. On the King's required reading. Article 184. It is conceivable that most unusual and extraordinary circumstances may arise in which the relief from duty of a commanding officer by a subordinate becomes necessary, either by placing him under arrest or on the sick list. Such action shall never be taken without the approval of the Navy
good.
I'll take these for the captain.
Great weather for stripping down. Yeah, great for pneumonia. I wouldn't stop the investigation.
Next. All right, big boy, you can get dressed.
Now, Mr. Keith, don't you want to X-ray me for the key? Just to make sure.
Mr. Keith. He swallowed the key with his coffee. Very tricky. Pipe down, you guys, both of you.
So long, fellas. Well, don't tell me you're escaping from the cave. I've got dispatch orders back to the States. My wife is seriously ill. Oh, I'm sorry to hear that.
She'll be all right, honey.
Thanks.
We'll keep you posted on the outcome of the great key investigation.
Yeah, do that.
Good luck, Bertie.
Thank you, sir. Look, fellas, if I tell you something, will you promise not to do anything about it? At least for an hour, down on the shore.
Okay, what is it?
There is no key.
What?
How do you know?
I know. The mess boys ate the strawberries. I saw them. I kept my mouth shut because I didn't want to get them into trouble. Then I made my mistake. I told the captain. He called me a liar and threatened to hold up my orders if I mentioned a word to anyone. So please, don't say anything.
You can count on us.
Boy, am I happy to get out of this madhouse. Now, so long and good luck. I'll call all your wives and girls for you.
Well,
Tom, I've been thinking about what you said. I've been thinking about Article 184, and I've got to admit you're right. Admiral Halsey's here with the fleet. How about going over to see him after we finish with this nonsense?
sure.
You too, Willie. Request permission to come on board, sir. Admiral Halsey's quarters. Official business from the Cane.
Very well. Lieutenant Jones? Yes, sir. Does General elect to see the Admiral? Very well. Come along with me. Just a minute, please, gentlemen.
Steve, this is a fine time to think of this, but we're making a big mistake.
What are you talking about?
Well, look at this. We've been kidding ourselves. This isn't the Cane, this is the real name. With real officers, not Puigs. The Cane's a freak, a floating mistake.
What are you driving at?
They'll never believe our story.
I don't get it. Is the captain off his head or isn't he? Is this record I've kept correct or not?
Yes, it's correct. The trouble is, we won't be able to make it stick. Unfortunately, everything we did, everything you've got in your log there, can be interpreted as an attempt to enforce discipline.
Yes, but we know different.
Yeah, because we've lived through it. Halsey hasn't.
Why didn't you tell me this before?
Just be glad I thought of it now. Believe me, Steve, if we go through with this, we're in trouble. It won't mean as much to our boy here and me as it will to you. You want to stay in the Navy. This can smash your whole career. You want them to think you're a mutinous officer.
Tom has an argument there.
Yes, but I'm willing to take a chance. Are you scared?
Scared? I can see 6 sides to every risk and 12 reasons why I shouldn't take it.
Cut the kidding, Tom.
Look, fellas, behind this smiling, brilliant, eloquent exterior, I've got a yellow streak 15 miles wide. I'm too smart to be brave.
Admiral Halsey will see you now.
I pass.
Thanks anyway. 9 p.m. We've decided this isn't the time.
Station Special C and Anchor Detail. Make all preparations for getting underway. Make all preparations for heavy weather. Dismissed from quarters.
Steve, what do we do now?
Well, that time I couldn't get to first base. I never even heard the word paranoid before he pulled it on me. He's got to make the pitch or his son.
I just don't get it. Tom's certainly not a coward.
Tell you the truth, Willie, I don't know what Tom is. Now,
thing with that capital, right? You can put that shit down.
Do you think we'll take it tonight?
Me and my dog. It's, should be angels and lemons, but everything's all, what, about behind it, I think.
Yeah. Because last night that one, I don't know if we can finish.
Birds are much more than us. You don't know me.
Because the last night that's the big wheel, that is 14,490.
Yeah, but didn't get all that.
It's not because you see that one, we just broke down, and then I don't know how much they make that one last night, but maybe that one they just do all that one in the day shift. I don't know if they can make
Well,
it.
it should be the birds at 6:30.
Yeah.
6:30, by me, and I'll maybe at 7:30 or 8 o'clock now. Couldn't be more than that. Then, and then we've got angels must be on all the way up to about 1 o'clock, and then 2 o'clock must be 11. But now, all that's going to change, I think.
If they can, I don't know if they can make it that one in the day shift. Finish the order the big wheel.
When we have a lot of scrap egg.
Yeah, because that one broke down there inside the roundabout. That one, what is that one? And then there in the cake is wasting going to the bin because they're in a
You mean after huge?
yeah.
Because of that. Was that for?
Yeah, and then also even where the cake do we do it is stuck. All the beans, some of the cake there also
When I was younger, I wanted to be a footballer, you know.
put in the bin.
Things don't always go how you think.
And then get much
I was
egg
18
out, well,
when I possessed the family home. I stayed for surf in
And then
years.
also they're in a cutting down.
Then I
See
found
that
out I
one?
was going to be a dad.
and do like the others.
Put in the bin because this most of the bin, most of the cake is been scrapped.
Suffered and ended up in hospital.
What, but
When I
when
came
you
home
do
to
that,
short notice, I was homeless
Maybe.
again. I don't know what I would have done without crisis. Now I've got my own flat and I'm building a future for my son. I never want him or anyone else to experience what I've been through. That's why the support crisis offers is
I know it is about 6 to 7 hours behind. They've got to take it to the market. I don't know. If that in that was all that before. Anyway,
Gusto presents the recipe box with the greatest choice, featuring 10-minute meals, global cuisines, family classics, all with fresh ingredients. It's the biggest menu every week. You have to take into account the thousands. Choose from over 250 recipes a month from just $2.99 a meal. Which is beyond reason. Sign up now for up to 60% off your first box.
Pwede ka photo your passport anyway. Your passport may pwede ka photo.
The award-winning Max 1 Power Blade
Same
full range
data.
gives you enough high performance cordless
My
runtime
brother
to
has
clean your whole home.
for the ticket.
you got things done. I like to add.
Clean carpets
I don't know
better.
what it is. I
UK's
don't know
top
this
3
one.
best-selling cordless
You have it
vacuums.
last.
Your passport.
Only
Listen me.
Well, then
$149.99.
you can do it. You can
Payment
do it.
options are determined.
Oh my God, I'm not going to work. I'm not.
Yeah, tomorrow I will.
Oh, really? I've got nothing. I've got work.
This is an urgent appeal from the charity Waraynon.
I send that to
Every
tomorrow
day,
anyway.
children like you have to walk
Sunday,
miles to collect water.
I'm working there. If I get a bit more money, it's
Water
a
so
bank.
dirty, it could kill them. But they have
But
no
I'm not
choice.
doing it.
Every day, babies have to drink water
You're lying, aren't
It's
you?
a lie.
with insects and bacteria.
You got
Their
that?
mothers know it could kill them, but they have no
There you
choice.
go. Fucking bad.
Today, more than
Well,
1,000
that's
children
all.
will die from poor sanitation, hygiene, and dirty water. They drink it because they have no choice. But you do. Today, you can choose to give children like Karim clean water and change everything. Text or call Waraynon now to give just £2 a
Got
month.
19 thumbs.
Your £2 a month will help communities install
Look at there.
pumps,
I leave a static charge and do that full job.
Your
Full
£2
down.
a month will help bring children clean water for life.
Oh, it should be charged that. I'm hoping.
We've already brought clean water to nearly 30 million people.
What you gotta
So
do?
please,
There's four of us on the asset. I'll talk to Malik about it. How we've been up there.
08877
One on the side,
Please, act now.
one on that
Because
side,
until then, every
and one on the foils. You got to do the foils too. I was like, that's why you only got to put the fucking thingy on. You don't know, you got to do the foils too. You got to do half an hour, half an hour, half an hour. And one on the bake, yeah.
That is 3 up there inside that one. You're in inside.
Oh, on the asset, right on top. On the way from my bike, I put earmarks on all that bullshit. When the cake comes down like that, it goes on. It says that's the cake, eh? It goes like this, and we got this, and it should go on top of that. If we don't, you go find gas and push it on onto the lid. Don't do that. There's a tap. We don't get to see that much scrap. Like you don't see all that much scrap now going down. And if it is, don't get on, just get it and chop it in the bin.
Yes.
It's not the cutting down.
Well, not there, no. Well, there you go. What you see, it's way on top of the acid. Where they make the cake. So away from it, on off of that. I think that's it wrong. I made it fucking bit boring, but no. Like, that's on now and a half, haven't
Yeah, but at least you can get your, the Friday.
we? Yeah. Oh, that's what I want. And bloody Friday, that way. You wake up.
Tomorrow, you're 7 Friday. Yeah, 7 Friday. So,
I could have married you in the most beautiful place in the world. Because I didn't for the rest of my life.
Inside.
But I want you to know that I love you. You'll never forget you.
because everything growing, so you can get more, 2 more, 7, 9. So you have 9. Because we don't have anything. We don't want that. Pwede kami ito ng November. 10,
We got to.
7, and 9. So that one, 10. Yeah. Then this one or next one.
My name is Barney Greenwald.
It's still
Nice to
Friday,
meet you.
8 or
Have a
15.
crack up?
So that is finished.
Are you
then,
a lawyer?
Friday.
Well,
I'm a lawyer.
That's Keith, Lieutenant Keefer.
Gee,
Well,
you're the good man.
Yes, sir.
And you're Mr. Keever? I'm holding his coat. What does that mean? I'm a friend of the family. That's pretty flip under the circumstances, Mr. Keever. Sorry. I was on board the King. I've been through the investigation very carefully. I think some people have mistakes.
Sean asked me.
Well, that's the way you feel about it, then why are you taking the case? I told Lee not to drop these to matter. Whether I take it or not depends on what he has to say. So you maybe better get yourself another lawyer.
Asking me.
Try it.
You're
8 other officers have already turned it down. I don't want to upset you too much, but at the moment you have an excellent chance of being hanged.
We'll answer anything you want to know, Mr. Greenwald.
All right, Mr. Merritt, which are you? A fool or a mutineer? There's no third possibility.
I guess the only way I can prove I was right was to let the ship go down.
3 ships were lost in the typhoon, you know. Sure. But 194 stayed afloat without the executive officer relieving the ship. There wasn't any other choice.
Hold it, Willie. Okay, maybe I was a fool, but I'm not a mutineer.
You should get a medical. What you did. You got a paranoid skipper who went to pieces when the ship was in danger. And he saved the ship. And maybe his 3 psychiatrists who prepared to testify that Captain Lee is completely sane. Sure. Paranoid are clever. They want the thin dividing line between sanity and lunacy. Are you a psychiatrist, Mr. Keeper? All right. It's my business to be a judge of human behavior. I see. And you were the first one to notice the captain's psychotic symptoms. Yeah. You explained all this very carefully to Mr. Merrick, of course. I just must again. Well, that's an interesting point. Would you be prepared to repeat it on the witness stand? Mr. Keeper, you ought to take a look at Article 186 of Navy Regulations. An officer relieving his commanding officer or recommending such action, together with all others who so counsel, must bear the legitimate responsibility for and must be prepared to justify such action. You're confusing the issue. I'm not on trial. If I were, I'd take the rap for the others. It's too bad we can't use you as an expert on psychiatry. After all, you made the diagnosis. And the getting a little thick in here. Yeah, well, I'll be waiting the whole.
Tired enough. It was my decision. Nobody told me what to do.
Sure.
Were you going to take the case?
I'd much rather prosecute him.
Maybe tomorrow have a nice reader so I can make it.
How do we play? Your case depends on that.
Yeah, I will. I will.
Not guilty, of course. You're a great naval hero.
Okay.
Charge.
Go.
Making a mutiny. Specification. In that Stephen Merritt, Lieutenant, United States Naval Reserve, while serving on board the USS Kane, did on or about February 31st, 1944, willfully, forcibly, and without proper authority, relieved Lieutenant Commander Philip Francis Queeg, U.S. Navy, who was then and there engaged in the lawful exercise of his command. The United States then being in a state of war. Stephen Merritt, Lieutenant U.S. Navy, you heard the charge and specification prepared against you. I will say you to the specification. Guilty or not guilty?
Not guilty.
I will say you to the charge. Guilty or not guilty?
Not guilty.
Gentlemen, the prosecution is prepared to prove that the removal of Lieutenant Commander Queeg was not justified by any provision of the U.S. Navy regulations and consequently constituted the making of a mutiny against legal authority. We will also submit qualified psychiatric testimony establishing without a doubt that Lieutenant Commander Queeg is a sane, intelligent officer and should not have been relieved.
No statement at this time.
In order to establish the circumstances, the prosecution would like to call as its first witness Ensign Willis Stewart Keith. Mr. Keith, were you the officer of the deck on the DMS Kane during the morning of the 31st of July?
Yes, sir.
Was the captain relieved of command by the executive officer during that watch?
Yes, sir.
You know why the executive officer took the action he did?
I do. The captain captain had lost control of himself and the ship was in imminent danger of foundering.
Have you ever been in a ship that foundered?
No, sir.
Mr. Keith, how long have you been in the Navy?
A little over a year, sir.
You know how many years Lieutenant Commander Queeg served at sea?
No.
As a matter of fact, Lieutenant Commander Queeg has served over 8 years. I ask you, which of you is better qualified to judge if a ship is foundering?
Myself, sir. When I'm in possession of my faculties, Lieutenant Commander Quigg is not.
Tell me, Mr. Keith, just how would you describe this loss of faculties? Did the captain rave or make insane gestures?
Well, no, sir.
After being relieved, did the captain go violently crazy?
Well, the captain was never wild or raving either before or after being relieved. There are other forms of mental illness.
Thank you for your expert opinion. Are you aware that the captain has been pronounced completely rational by 3 qualified psychiatrists?
They weren't on the bridge of the Cane during that typhoon, sir.
Did you like the captain, Mr. Keith?
At first I did, yes, sir.
And later?
Well, I thought he was incompetent and unfair. He blamed the members of the crew for his own mistakes, and he rode them in too hard.
Yourself included.
Yes, sir.
So you ended up by hating Captain Queeg.
Yes, sir.
Now let's come to the morning of the 31st of July, Mr. Keith. Was your decision to obey Mr. Merrick based upon your judgment that the captain had gone crazy, or was it based on your hatred of Captain Queeg? Mr. Keith, it's contempt of court to refuse to answer questions, except on sufficient grounds.
All I can say is I believe Mr. Merrick did the right thing, sir.
That's all. No further questions.
Mr. Keith, I would like to ask if you have ever heard the expression old yellow stain.
Would you repeat that, please?
Old yellow stain.
Yes, sir, I've heard it.
Was it a nickname?
Yes, for Captain Quigg.
What did it imply?
It implied cowardice.
I object. I move that question and answer be struck from the record as an unnecessary attack upon the honor of a naval officer.
Mr. Greenwald, the career of an officer with a 14-year unblemished record is involved here. The court understands your zeal, but I warn you that you bear full responsibility for your conduct in the case. The court will hold in abeyance the prosecution's motion.
Did that nickname have anything to do with the typhoon?
No, sir.
That's all.
No further questions.
The court has no questions. Mr. Keith, you are warned not to discuss your testimony with anyone except the parties to the trial and the accused. You're excused. The ship was rolling real bad. I couldn't hold her. Captain wanted me to come left, and the exec wanted me to come right.
Which did you do?
I obeyed Mr. Merrick, sir.
Why?
Mr. Keith told me Mr. Merrick had taken command.
Did the captain act crazy?
No, sir.
Did Mr. Merrick act crazy?
No, sir.
Did the captain seem scared?
No, sir.
Did Mr. Merrick seem scared?
No, sir.
Did anyone?
Just me. I was dead. I was plenty scared.
Did you like Captain Queeg?
I liked him. Well, not a lot, but I liked him. He acted strange.
Was it strange he cleaned up the cane?
No,
Was
sir.
it strange he made the men get haircuts?
No, sir.
Was it strange he was strict about Navy regulations?
No, sir.
Evidently what you thought strange were his attempts to make good sailors of his crew. That's all.
Now, what do those campaign stars represent?
Well,
What do they represent?
well, the Silver Stars, the Coral Sea, Midway, Guadalcanal, Tulagi.
That's all.
Oh, Lieutenant Thomas Keeper. Mr. Keeper, when did you first learn about Captain Queeg's relief?
Mr. Merrick called us to the bridge. When we arrived, he told us he had assumed full command.
Did Captain Queeg show any external signs of being sick?
With the height of the typhoon, nobody aboard our DMS looks very well.
Lieutenant Keeper, didn't you realize that Captain Queeg's warning to the other officers about collusion and mutiny was well-founded?
Yes, I did, sir.
Then why, as the next senior officer, did you take no action?
I wasn't present when the captain was relieved, so I didn't know what he might have done in a critical moment to convince the executive officer he was sick. I decided for the safety of the ship that my best course was to obey Mr. Merrick's order, until such time as higher authority either endorsed or overruled his action.
Mr. Keeper, during all the period Captain Queeg was in command of the Cane, did you ever observe any evidence of insanity in him?
I'm afraid I can't answer that question intelligently, not being a psychiatrist.
Mr. Keeper, did you ever have any reason to think Captain Queeg might be insane.
Objection. The witness is not an expert. Matters of opinion are not permissible evidence.
Strike it from the record.
Mr. Kiefer, at any time prior to the 31st of July, did you know that Mr. Merrick suspected Captain Krieg of being mentally ill?
Yes, sir. Mr. Merrick showed me a medical log he had written on Captain Quigg's behavior.
Did you believe that log justified the relief of Captain Krieg?
Well, sir,
Yes or no, please?
no, sir. Mr. Merrick was a close friend of mine. He persuaded Mr. Keith and me to go with him to see Admiral Halsey. When we arrived on board the flagship, I told him as forcibly as I could that the log did not justify such action, that we would all be liable to a charge of combining to make a mutiny.
Were you surprised later when Mr. Merrick relieved the captain?
I was flabbergasted.
Were you pleased, Mr. Kiefer?
I've said Mr. Merrick was a close friend. I was badly disturbed. I anticipated that at best he would be involved in great difficulty.
No further questions.
No questions.
Does defense counsel intend to recall witness at a later time?
No, sir.
No cross-examination.
No, sir.
Witness excused.
The party's lying every
The evidence is not to get you into more trouble. Forget it. Only one hero, not two mutineers.
Call Dr. Dixon, please.
Dr. Dixon, please.
How'd it go, son? Ordeal. I do know you were on a hot seat yourself.
Sure, I didn't know whether I was coming or going. Sure, the old word, King. You know what you were doing.
Yeah, I know what I was doing.
Doctor, may I ask you, as a psychiatrist, is it possible for a sane man to perform offensive or foolish acts?
It happens every day.
Assuming for a moment, this is a hypothetical question, assuming that the captain's conduct was harsh and oppressive and often showed bad judgment, would that be inconsistent with your diagnosis of him?
No. No, my colleagues and I didn't find Lieutenant Commander Queeg a perfect officer. We found an absence of mental illness.
Then you would still say the defendant was unjustified in relieving him.
From a psychiatric standpoint, completely unjustified.
Doctor, my background is legal, not medical. Forgive me if I ask some elementary questions.
It's perfectly all right.
Now, Doctor, you said in previous testimony that Lieutenant Commander Queeg, like all adults, had problems which he handled well. Could you describe the problems?
I object. Lieutenant Commander Krieg is not on trial here. Lieutenant Merrick is. This question constitutes irrelevant probing of medical confidences.
I rely on the judgment of the court. Evidence regarding Lieutenant Commander Queeg's mental makeup is of the utmost importance to my case.
The question is mature, objection overruled. The doctor may answer within the limits of medical discretion. The reporter will repeat the question.
You said Lieutenant Commander Quigg, like all adults, had problems which he handled well. Could you describe the problems?
The overall problem is one of inferiority feelings arising from an unfavorable childhood and aggravated by some adult experiences.
What were those adult experiences?
He'd undergone a lot of strain, long, arduous combat duty. I think that's about all I can say.
Now, sir, would he be inclined to admit mistakes?
None of us are.
Would he be a perfectionist, sir?
Yes?
Inclined to hound subordinates about small details?
Yes.
Would he be inclined to think that people were hostile to him?
Yes, that's part of the picture, yes.
And if criticized, would he feel that he was being unjustly persecuted?
As I say, it's all one pattern stemming from one premise. And he must try to be perfect.
Now, Doctor, you have testified that the following symptoms exist in Lieutenant Commander Queeg's behavior: rigidity of personality, feelings of persecution, unreasonable suspicion, a mania for perfection, and a neurotic certainty that he is always in the right. Doctor, isn't there one psychiatric term for this illness?
I never said there was any illness.
Thank you for the correction, sir. What would you call a personality that had all these symptoms?
A paranoid personality. But that is not a disabling illness.
What kind of personality, Doctor?
Paranoid.
Thank you, sir.
If I may speak, sir, I would like to protest the counsel's twisting of words.
There's a big difference between real mental illness and minor mental disturbance. Let me put it this way, Doctor. Could Captain Quigg have been disabled by the severe strain of command? That's absurdly hypothetical, is it? Have you ever had any sea duty, Doctor? No. Have you ever been at sea? No. How long have you been in the Navy? 5 months. Have you ever had any dealings with ship captains before this case? No. Then I suggest that you cannot set yourself up as an authority on the strain of command, and thus you may be completely wrong about Captain Quigg. Your witness.
1 minute, Doctor. Esteemed counsel for defense has raised an interesting point. Now, in private practice, did you ever have patients who had to deal with complicated command decisions, men such as plant managers, industrialists, etc.?
Yes, quite a few. Including some flyers who have to decide questions of life and death every day. I've written a book on the subject.
And in those cases, could you detect where neurosis might damage the ability to make decisions correctly and at the right time?
Absolutely.
And in your examination of Lieutenant Commander Quigg, you found no such damage. Is that right?
Absolutely right.
Thank you, Doctor.
That will be all. Smart guy, Charlie.
You sure gonna bear down on me. And that's the way I saw it. I felt it was my duty as a naval officer. Captain Quigg was sick, mentally ill, and I had to take over. And I tell you honestly, if I had to do it again, I'd do it.
Thank you, Mr. Merrick. Your witness, sir.
Mr. Merrick, just a few questions. Would you say your grades in high school were average?
Lower.
And in college?
Lower.
What training have you had in psychiatry or medicine?
Well, you have a big idea. Captain Quigg was easily read. Out of books.
Anybody?
I can't remember them.
Mr. Merrick defines it.
I can't.
What is it, Mr. Professor?
I don't know.
What's the difference between the words paranoid and paranoid?
I don't know.
The truth, Mr. Merrick, you don't know what you're talking about when you discuss mental illness.
I didn't say I knew much about it.
Yes, you thought you were not to make experts outright mutiny.
I wanted to save the ship.
But doctors, responsible doctors, Mr. Merrick, have found that the captain wasn't mentally ill, haven't they?
They were in the ship.
But isn't the reverse possible? Mr. Merrick, isn't it possible that under pressure that you became erratic and couldn't understand the captain's sound decision? Isn't that possible?
It's possible.
The captain and his executive officer, who was presumed by the Navy to have the better judgment in ship.
One last question, Mr. Merrick.
If the diagnosis of expert doctors is correct, then you're guilty as charged, aren't you?
I guess maybe so.
Questions?
No further questions. Mr. Dorsmer.
It is witnessing the first time. Now it's
Channel 4 sponsored by Humanitarian.
We are an independent customer organization. Welcome to the program. Your good is due. Reputation is what people think of you. Charity is what you are. We are Kingsman. 95 stars in the Kingsman in 44. Friday in October. Play set for life. You can
10K every month for 30 years. Set free. Play now.
Join through today for this. Right now, with the unlimited summer offers, £20 a month. But hurry, offer begins the 7th of October. Visit us in store or online today. Life is a great gift. What does it work about love? Advertise your value for example, so to say the new first seat. Okay. Before the case really got a shot, I would say to give the world a piece of ourselves. That's it.
system easily know your sugar values and where they're heading. Real-time readings sent right to your smartphone and enable routine finger pricks. Manage your diabetes with more confidence. The Freestyle Libre 2 system.
Whether it's penciling instruments or the other elements in that wheel, they all make mess that goes deep into the surface, waiting to happen. Well, that calls for the award-winning Vax Spot Wash Compact. Lightweight, compact, and with an advanced range of particle for every task. A spin-stop hand tool takes the hard work out of the wheel, makes it stains on carpet, sofas and stairs, and cleans up in the car too, only with the hardest to reach spots. Then there's the messy tube, dealing with those dirty mishaps. Our advanced spot washer effortlessly revitalizes upholstery and carpets by removing all sorts of spills and stains, no matter which animal made them. Order the Vax Spot Wash Home Vet Design Direct for only £129.99 and save £70. With free delivery and free Vax stain removal solution kit worth £30. When life gets messy, get Vax.
Please get ready to help a child who is deaf-blind find their magic key.
When my brother Luca was born, Mum told me he couldn't see or hear properly. I was sad that we might never play together, but we were helped by Anne from Sense. She said Luca was stuck, but we could help him unlock his world with a special key.
Help a child like Luca find their magic key. Text key to 70455 to give £5 and you'll receive a special magic key pin badge. Just £5 could buy a sensory toy which sense specialists use, along with movement and touch, to help children with disabilities connect and communicate with loved ones.
And Sense has lots of magic keys. Sparkly ones, tickly ones, and windy ones.
So text key to 70455 to give £5 and get your own magic key as thanks. It could help a child unlock their world.
Save up to £523 on your car insurance. Please just use Confused. Just use Confused.com. On it.
Now, great festival. Your donations helped 3D print his heart, guide his surgery, and saved his life with a groundbreaking innovation. And a future breakthrough that could cure her is closer than ever. Help us turn science fiction into reality and save more lives like hers. Donate to the British Heart Foundation now.
Play Happy Tiger Bingo for the most winsome bingo friendly experience with the chance to win £2.5 grand.
Rumour has it, we don't know how to dress. As if. Shop fashion at jdwilliams.co.uk.
Kick off the awesome season with a bang. An epic selection of film premieres on Channel 4 every Saturday night.
Channel 4 film. Sponsored by Hyundai.
Good afternoon, gentlemen. I assume command of an extremely sloppy, badly handled ship. How did you try to bring the ship in line? Lieutenant America might say, opposed me from the very first. I mean, he thought I was crazy to keep trying.
In your judgment, was your ship on the verge of foundering when the executive officer assumed command?
Well, now, as you gentlemen know, a typhoon is an extreme hazard at all times, but the ship was riding well. Lieutenant Merrick, however, went into a panic and ran amok. He acted under the delusion that he and he alone could save the ship. As for Willis Keys, the totally unreliable and disloyal officer, combined with him against me at this crucial time. Bad luck for them, really. I bear them no malice. I'm extremely sorry for them.
No more questions. A word of caution before you proceed with the examination, Mr.
targets. Did you ever steam over your own tow line and cut it?
Objection. I beg the court's indulgence, but I must say the defense outrages the dignity of this proceeding.
The judge advocate wants the defense to switch to a guilty plea. He thinks the report of the psychiatrist closes the case. But I say it is up to you, line naval officers, not doctors, to judge the captain's performance of duty. Now let's review that performance of duty for the Navy to render a judgment.
Objection overruled.
Now, sir, did you ever steam over your own tow line and cut it?
Well, I for one, am happy to dispose of this particular swam. During the time we were towing the target, I noticed some anti-aircraft very close aboard. Naturally, I tried to avoid it.
And you continued to turn in a full circle.
Well, my helmet, a very unreliable man, failed to warn me that we were coming around 360 degrees. I caught it in time and instantly reversed course. To the best of my knowledge, we shouldn't steam over the tow line.
I see. Now, besides the anti-aircraft bursts, did nothing else distract you?
No, not that I recall.
Captain, weren't you engaged in representing a seaman named Glugach at length for having his shirt tail out while the ship turned 360 degrees?
Well, yes, I reprimanded him, but that only took 2 seconds.
Now, on the morning that Kane escorted the tugboats of Marines to the beach, did your orders include dropping a yellow dye marker?
I don't recall.
Did you drop a yellow dye marker?
I don't recall.
Now, Captain, didn't you steam several hundred yards ahead of the attack boats, drop a yellow dye marker, and retire at high speed, leaving the boats to make the beach on their own?
The question is abusive and flagrantly leading.
Mr. Greenwald, there can be no more serious charge against an officer than cowardice under fire.
Sir, may I make one thing clear? It is not the defense's contention that Lieutenant Commander Quigg is a coward. Quite the contrary. The defense assumes that no man who rises to command the United States naval ship can possibly be a coward. And therefore, if he commits questionable acts under fire, the explanation must be elsewhere.
You may resume your examination.
Captain, you seem to be the victim of constantly disloyal officers.
Now, I didn't say that. Only some of them are disloyal.
Mr. Keith and Mr. Merrick, for instance.
Yes.
Mr. Quigg, this is a fitness report you wrote on Mr. Merrick. 1 July 1944, 1 month before he relieved you. Do you recognize it?
Yes, I do.
Would you mind reading your comments on Mr. Merrick? I don't believe the court can hear you, Mr. Quigg.
This officer's improved in performance of duty since his last fitness report. He's consistently loyal, unflagging, thorough, courageous, and efficient. He's recommended for transfer to the regular Navy. Now, in relation to that report, I'd like to say that...
Thank you, sir. Captain, did you ever turn your ship upside down in a vain search for a key that did not exist?
I don't know what lies have been sworn to in this court, but I'd like to set you straight on this matter right here and now. A key definitely did exist.
May it please the court, the witness is understandably agitated by this ordeal, and I request a recess to give him a brief...
I don't want a recess. I'll answer all questions right here and now.
Did you conduct such a search?
Yes, I did. Usual, my disloyal officers failed me and the key couldn't be found.
As a matter of actual fact, wasn't this whole fuss over a quart of strawberries?
Pilfering of food in large amounts or small is one of the most serious occurrences on board ship.
Yes, but didn't you learn the mess boys had eaten the strawberries and that you were conducting a search for an imaginary key?
I repeat, the key was not imaginary. And I don't know anything about mess boys eating strawberries.
Captain, have you no recollection of a conversation with an Ensign Harding just prior to his leaving the cane?
What about it?
Didn't Ensign Harding tell you that the mess boys ate the strawberries?
Well, what I remember is that he was very grateful for his transfer. His wife was ill in the States.
Captain, do you know where Ensign Harding is now?
I have no way of knowing.
Ensign Harding is in San Diego. His wife is fully recovered. He has already been summoned and can be flown up here in 3 hours if necessary. Would it serve any useful purpose to have him testify?
No, I don't see any need of that. Now that I recall, he might have said something about mess boys, and then again he might not. I questioned so many men, and Harding was not the most reliable officer.
I'm afraid the defense has no other recourse than to produce Ensign Harding.
Now, there's no need for that. I know exactly what he'll tell you. Lies. There's no difference from any other officer in Waraynon. They were all disloyal. I tried to run the ship properly with a book, but they fought me at every turn. If the crew wanted to walk around with their shirt tails hanging out, that's all right. Let them. Take the tow line. Defective equipment, no more, no less. If they encouraged the crew to go around scoffing at me and spreading wild rumors about steaming in circles Merrick was the perfect officer, but not Captain Queeg. But the strawberries, that's where I had them. They laughed at me and made jokes. But I proved beyond the shadow of a doubt with geometric logic that a duplicate key to the Waraynon box did exist. And I'd have produced that key if they hadn't pulled the cane out of action. I know now they were only trying to protect some fellow officer. Naturally, I can only cover these things from memory. If I've left anything out, just ask me specific questions and I'll be glad to answer them one by one.
No further questions.
He's a jolly good fellow. He's a jolly good fellow. He's a jolly good fellow. And nobody can deny. That nobody can deny.
No, baby, no, there are no girls here. Just the officers of the king. One darling? Hey, Steve, make them pipe down, will ya?
Knock it off, fellas. Old Willie's talking to his girl.
Okay. Steve?
Hello, Tom. I didn't think you'd have the guts to come around.
I didn't have the guts not to. Steve. I want to thank you for not telling the fellows about what happened. Of course, I'm delighted at the way things turned out.
So it's over and done with.
Look, you can take a plane tonight. I'm getting a new ship and a new skipper, but we'll have plenty of time to get married. We'll let my mother know afterwards. Please, May. I love you, darling. I love you. Goodbye, sweetheart. Hey, Steve, Tom, that was May.
Well. The officers of the king in a happy celebration.
What are you, Barney, kind of tight?
Sure. I got a guilty conscience. I defended you, Steve, because I found the wrong man was on trial. So I torpedoed Queeg for you. I had to torpedo him. And I feel sick about it.
Okay, Barney, take it easy.
You know something? When I was studying law, and Mr. Kiefer here was writing his stories, and you, Willie, were tearing up the playing fields at dear old Princeton. Who was standing guard over this fat, dumb, happy country of ours, eh? Not us. Oh, no, we knew you couldn't make any money in the service. So who did the dirty work for us? Queeg did. And a lot of other guys. Tough, sharp guys who didn't crack up like Queeg.
But no matter what, Captain Queeg endangered the ship and the lives of the men.
He didn't endanger anybody's life. You did, all of you. You're a fine bunch of officers.
You said yourself he cracked.
I'm glad you brought that up, Mr. Painter, because that's a very pretty point. You know, I left out one detail in the court-martial. Wouldn't have helped our case any. Tell me, Steve, after the Yellowstone business, Queeg came to you guys for help and you turned him down, didn't you?
Yes, we did.
You didn't approve his conduct as an officer. He wasn't worthy of your loyalty. So you turned on him. You ranked him. You made up songs about it. You've given Queeg the loyalty he needed. You suppose the whole issue would have come up in the typhoon? You're an honest man, Steve. I'm asking you. Do you think it would have been necessary for you to take over?
It probably wouldn't have been necessary.
Yeah.
If that's true, then we were guilty.
You're learning, Willie. You're learning that you don't work with a captain because you like the way he parts his hair. You work with him because he's got the job or you're no good. Well, the case is over. You're all safe. It was like shooting fish in a barrel. And now we come to the man who should have stood trial. The
McCain's favorite author, the Shakespeare whose testimony nearly sunk us all. Tell him, Kiefer. No, you go ahead. You're telling it better. You ought to read his testimony. He never even heard of Captain Quigg.
Let's forget it, Barney.
Quigg was sick. He couldn't help himself. But you're real healthy. Only you didn't have 1/10 the guts that he had.
He's
Except for the
jealous, isn't it?
watched off, Mr. Green.
Well, the captain went out.
From the beginning, you hated the Navy.
Okay.
And then you thought of this whole idea. And you managed to keep your skirts nice and starched and clean, even in the court-martial. Steve Merrick will always be remembered as a mutineer. But you publish your novel, you make $1 million, you marry a big movie star, and for the rest of your life, you live with your conscience, if you have any. Now here's to the real author of the King Mutiny. Here's to you, Mr. Kiefer.
Yeah, you started
Want
on
to
the
do anything about
process.
it, I'll be outside.
Yeah, but why do you do that
Better than
one?
you are,
You say,
so it'll be a fair
you
fight.
know, like joining the Navy anyway. You know, he wanted to write a book about the Navy when his father was high up, you know.
Yeah, he's jealous.
Oh, well, he just told the truth.
And everybody's there.
He wanted to go to one. Oh, we noticed. He started all the chat. That captain, who's been around for all this, sent it, you know, things could give him a try. They did, just kept on and on. And that captain. Where he walked away from him, he started all the bullshit.
Oh, goodbye, darling.
Goodbye, Willie.
Who's that captain again?
Action on deck.
Keith,
Yes, sir?
take her out.
Aye, aye, sir.
Say left ball line. Stand by to cast off.
No.
Well, the conflict in the Middle East has escalated significantly this week, with Israel's Iron Dome defense system playing a major role. Let's talk about military analyst Sean Bell about this. Sean, just explain what the Iron Dome is and how it works to counter Iran's missiles.
Yeah, good afternoon, Jane. I mean, the 180 ballistic missiles is a pretty significant chunk of missiles. Now, Israel claims that very few got through it. There's some evidence that suggests quite a lot did. But the fact is, they have a layered air defense system. Iron Dome is only one part of it. We're seeing it there. It's a closed-range system. Largely, it's very good against unguided rockets coming from Hamas or Hezbollah to the north. The radar differentiates, are they going to hit any buildings or land in the countryside? If they go to the countryside, ignore them, only focus on the ones that are coming. So it's very good at close range. For the medium range, we have to look at David Sling, which is the next system. That tends to be focused, as we see missiles. It's got a much longer range, goes a bit faster, more expensive, and that's a very, very effective system. But when you go out to the ballistic missile threat, which is the one that Israel had suffered the other night, then this Arrow system is what's required. Very expensive missile, very capable, long range, can intercept these ballistic missiles. What is fascinating, back in April, the last time that Iran fired a load of missiles, they did a selection of ballistic, cruise, and also drones. And that's why the fighter jets also got involved, because they can take out the cruise missiles and the drones. On this occasion, it looks like nearly all, if not all, of the weapons were ballistic missiles. Fighter jets don't have any capability against those. Although they were ready to get involved, didn't actually shoot anything.
Well, like me, I'm trying to fucking
That's
down.
Israeli defence. What can we expect in terms of Israeli response?
You got one, got two got cold, but by me,
Israel's dominance.
I did that one with the button because I was reading.
Now, 1 year
That's just wet.
virtually from the start of the war in Gaza,
Well, you
throughout
second
that
that,
war,
that looks wet.
Hezbollah's been attacking from the north,
Last
trying
night
to
I was
distract
reading the back and they're in a
now
roundabout
that
and
the
a
war is
round
largely
and then going there and a
final
falling down
chapter
and
of
then
It's just a lot of
Israel's
rain.
pivoted and
It's
started to
not
take
a
on
lot.
the Hezbollah, and they've done a really well-planned attack with pagers and the like. Then all of a sudden, Iran now launches 180 missiles. Now, this might prove to actually be an ill-judged move, because the danger is it actually plays to Prime Minister Netanyahu's agenda. Iran's strategic priority is developing its nuclear weapons program, and that would present an existential threat to Israel. Now that Iran's fired these missiles, Israel can feel justified in launching a retaliatory strike and potentially going after the nuclear weapons site. Now, at the moment, the US has been really clear it wouldn't support that sort of attack, but with this close to a US election, it's also very unlikely the US is going to do any sort of sanctions against Israel. So it's very definitely a real worry for the region.
And what about the wider region, you know, and the rest of the world? What are the implications of this?
Well, it is interesting. We talk a lot about either this war or the war in Ukraine, but actually these events do bridge them both. Two examples of that, one of which is the Patriot missile system, which we see here. Israel would have used quite a lot of these in the defense against those strikes. There's not that many around. US will be desperately keen to resupply the stocks of Israel. But where do those missiles also get used? They also get used in Ukraine, where there's also a big demand. Now all of a sudden you've got those limited supplies available in the US. Does it provide them to Israel or provide them to Ukraine? And in a presidential year, I suspect the election year, I wouldn't be at all surprised if they're more focused on Israel, which makes it very tough. Likewise, back in Russia, they are taking deliveries of Iranian ballistic missiles. So the question is, okay, now that Iran's using their ballistic missiles against Israel, does that mean the Ayatollah won't be able to provide so many to Russia? I have to say, from a military perspective, that's unlikely. Why is that? His priority is securing a nuclear weapons capability. The deal with Russia wasn't just about missiles, it was about fighter jets and also Russia helping with the nuclear program. So at the moment, it looks likely that the Ayatollah will be less inclined to stop supplies to Russia, and therefore the Middle East conflict has a direct link to the conflict in Ukraine.
Sure, thanks very much.
Support in continuing the war, in the ground operation in Lebanon, because people really believe that this will solve, as you say, once and for all. On the other hand, there is a very heavy concern because everyone understands that this will carry a very heavy price. So I would define the mood as really a heavy concern, together with supporting the war, both wars, both in Gaza and in Lebanon, gain almost total support in Israeli public opinion, and I'm not sure those are good news for the Israeli society.
Really briefly, what do you expect them to target in Iran whenever that move gets made?
I think the American president named it, so who am I? All the time they talk about aiming the oil facilities, which are quite a soft point a soft spot in Iran, and might create a big damage to Iran. But again, it will get into a vicious circle because Iran will retaliate, and then what?
Gideon Levy, thank you so much for joining us on the programme. Let's turn to another aspect of what we're dealing with in the Middle East, the humanitarian situation. Let's speak to Kristen Knudsen, who's the head of the UN's Office for the Coordination of Humanitarian Affairs. She joins and we're very grateful for your time here on the program. Give me a sense, first of all, of the scale of what you're dealing with.
Thank you. On a 99 year, seen people forced to flee from their homes, and more immediately over the past 2 weeks, an escalation the likes of which the country hasn't seen for nearly 20 years. 2 weeks ago, with the explosions of pagers and walkie-talkie devices, which also, of course, affected civilians who were going about their daily life, the country was plunged into a healthcare crisis. And now with the escalation of airstrikes expanding to more and more parts of the country, people receiving displacement orders, sometimes with only 15 minutes notice, and in the middle of the night, 3 a.m., instructions to flee their areas because airstrikes are coming. We've had massive rates of displacement.
And do people know where to go when they hear these warnings and are given such a short space of time? Broadly,
No.
What are people doing? Do they know what to do?
No, it is part of the difficulty that we are dealing with is that there isn't the manageable system.
Right,
You have
well,
so little time, so little
they're
warning
told,
to be able
I
to
mean-
direct people to where to go. So they are fleeing with what
and
little
they
they
got 3
can carry,
days to get
what
home,
they're
huh?
wearing basically, and they're just trying to get away. They're trying to go to open spaces that are away
And
from
then,
where they've
not
been
leaving,
forced to
well, 1 day
be.
off,
And
that's
then
it.
our job
They're not
as
living.
humanitarians working with the government of Lebanon
Money,
authorities
man, money.
is to try to find
Yeah.
them shelter. The
Right.
government's thrown open more than 800 of its schools to provide shelter to nearly 1 million people who've been displaced and directly affected by the escalation here.
The World Health Organization, their head said about an hour ago that they'll not be able to deliver large shipments of trauma and medical supplies to Lebanon due to flight restrictions. Are you finding that what is happening all around you in the region is making it harder for you to get aid in, and how much aid do you have?
We have assistance on the ground that we are delivering. I'll start there.
Look,
We
that's
don't
what
have
it
enough,
comes.
and we don't have enough
Look
because we
again,
are
if
struggling.
they didn't
with
start
impact
buying
of
that land,
commercial airlines.
they won't buy
Over the
back.
past couple months,
Soon
actually,
they
have been
started it. Oh, I can't stand it, and then
increasingly
another
reticent to
one.
fly in and out of
But people
Beirut
dying.
Airport, amongst other airports in the region. This
So
week,
it's all right
we've
for
seen airspace
Israel, but not
closed
all right to anyone
due
else.
to events
Huh?
elsewhere in the region. And
They're
we
gonna
know
stand there and
that
then keep killing
the
Israel
availability
people, are they?
of particularly cargo capacity
Fucking idiots.
flying into Beirut, we've got prices rising. So it's increasingly costly to bring assistance in. So we need more assistance and we need more funding to be able to provide support to the people of Lebanon who've been affected by this crisis. From the United Nations and humanitarian partners that this week issued a call for $426 million in urgently needed funding to support the response here.
Yes, because also we don't know quite how long all of this is going to continue for. Just a final thoughts on a human level, because some of your colleagues have put onto social media what it is physically like to be in that city when some of these huge bombs go off like they did last night. You're there in Beirut. Just describe what that is like.
I'm in a way lucky because I know that I have a house with a roof over my head and I can still stay in my house while this is going on around us. So extrapolating out with the displaced who are here, sometimes on the streets, sheltering in parks throughout the city, are feeling when we have these huge airstrikes that are also taking place, not just once, not just twice. There were multiple strikes on Beirut last night. One of them was right in the center of the city. It occurred about 500 meters away from where I'm sitting now. And it is terrifying. It's terrifying for the people of Lebanon. It's terrifying for the humanitarian workers who are trying to bring them assistance, but are also struggling with their own effect of the crisis. They've been our humanitarian workers, their families are with them, and we've lost people in the UN and NGOs. So thank you for recognizing that, and thank you for also allowing allowing me the opportunity to bring some of that perspective to you.
President, we're grateful for your time there live for us in Beirut. Thank you for taking time to speak to us and just describing your work and what it's actually like to be there in research. Thanks so much for joining us. Well, let's turn to the calculations that also are being made by Israel in response to what we saw on Tuesday night, because Israel's Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu has held a security meeting to discuss exactly how his country will respond to the wave of ballistic missiles launched on Tuesday. Yesterday, President Biden said he was against Israel targeting Iran's nuclear facilities. Well, David Albright is an American physicist and weapons expert and the founder of the Institute for Science and International Security in Washington. Before the program, he spoke to me and he told me how close Iran was to having a nuclear weapon.
I think dangerously close. I mean, Iran has shown that it can make weapon-grade uranium in sufficient quantities for a nuclear weapon within days and accumulate enough for several nuclear weapons in a month. And so that part is settled. Now, that's the raw ingredients for a nuclear weapon, but they've worked on nuclear weapons a lot in the past, and so they know how to do it. And so my own estimate is in about 6 months they could put together a crude nuclear explosive device and test it underground. They could declare themselves nuclear power. It wouldn't be delivered. I don't think it would be deliverable by missile. I think that would take longer. But nonetheless, if you look at other countries and what they've done, like Pakistan, India, North Korea, they didn't wait till they had a missile deliverable nuclear warhead to declare themselves nuclear powers and to do it in an incredible manner, in the sense that the international community accepted it.
So if Israel were to try to hit those facilities, how easy or difficult would that be?
I think it's certainly a difficult problem, and it's not like when Israel attacked the Syrian reactor 2007. It's a much more diffuse program involving enrichment of uranium. There's stocks of 60% enriched uranium, which is just a slight step from weapon grade. There's lots of centrifuges. It's not just one reactor. So it's a difficult problem. But over 2 years ago, the Israelis were pretty clear that they said we needed 2 years to plan an attack on the launch facility. So those 2 years are up. And so they've been thinking through how to do this. And I think they can do things that will surprise us. Who would have thought they put explosive material in pagers and just decimate Hezbollah's mid-level operatives? So I think the Israelis have been thinking about this, and it's something that they probably could do, and they could do quite a bit of damage to the Iranian nuclear program.
Could they do it on their own, Israel?
I think that's been the plan. They want U.S. assistance, but from what I understood in discussions when this was being discussed over 2 years ago, was no, they plan to do it alone. And, they would look to the United States, and obviously for help from the Army, for intelligence, help against any Iranian retaliation. So, but I think the idea was they would be self-sufficient in order to attack.
A final question, because I heard you in a radio interview say, actually, we've reached a point that perhaps the pressure from both sides that makes this more likely. Just elaborate on that point. Why do you think we've actually got to a moment where something that's been talked about for a very long time could be potentially about to happen?
I think Iran did believe that its ring of fire was a deterrent, keeping Israel from attacking or going down certain limits in the region, and that's now gone. Iran has also said that any attack will overwhelm your defenses with missiles and really cause widespread damage. That hasn't happened. Israel responded very, very well in showing that deterrent doesn't exist. And so I think Iran may be thinking, and certainly in the Iranian discussions that you hear in the social media and the media, they feel that a nuclear weapon would provide the deterrent that would keep Israel from attacking. So I think the chance of them doing that now is increased. On the other hand, Israel's looking at a country that made big threats about eliminating them and aggressively if they attacked, Israel attacked Iran, and those threats don't seem that big. And so Iran is vulnerable now and kind of reeling from everything Israel's done in the last couple months. And so I think Israel would feel incentivized to attack now or in this time period.
That's the weapons expert David Albright talking to me a little while ago. Around the world and across the UK, you're watching BBC News. You're watching BBC News. We'll keep an eye on what is happening in the Middle East here on the programme, showing the live pictures, keeping right up to date. There's also the live page, so do head there, and there's continuous updates from all of our teams. But let's turn to another really fascinating story that we've been learning about today, because about 100,000 newborn babies in England are being tested for genetic diseases as part of a new study aiming to improve diagnosis and treatment. More than 200 rare diseases will be detected in the screening process, meaning babies can be treated and in some cases cured at the earliest possible age. Well, let's speak to Dr.
An impossible crossing made possible. A deadly impasse now happening.
Do you think on Saturday have a nice weather?
Well, no, be bad, huh? It says on here, supposed to be alright, like this, not good. But Sunday rain all day. Nearly all day, so. Why?
Doing that once in a
Well, you know, don't panic, man. What's up with you?
because look what that gun is doing.
Come on, get that done when I get up. You know,
Yes, go again. Maybe the grass in here.
it's wet, the grass is. Well, not wet now, but well, heads are kind of get cut down. Gonna get everything done, anyway.
The grass is grow there, it's going to grow there.
I'll be up about 1 o'clock anyway. If I get to bed by 8 or 8:30, I'll be up about 1 o'clock anyway. Get all done. See,
Shower.
I get a shower and I've done that, I'm not well. Okay, because I'll look at the golf like first. Oh.
Well, certainly, I mean, and certainly I'm a former Air Force guy, and we used to, some of the ground crew would write on the bombs on aircraft messages. That's not unusual to do that. And for a propaganda perspective, this is a propaganda video, let's be clear. It's all been very carefully stage managed. And I say, this is a lot about Iran. Iran's in a slightly difficult position here militarily. You've got to be clear that they are wanting to preserve their nuclear program. They do not want to enter a major war with Israel. But they also they will want to avenge the deaths of these two leaders. And therefore, we've been waiting since the end of July, if you remember. That's when Ismail Haniyeh was
assassinated, and then Hassan Nasrallah. We've been waiting quite some time for this. So Iran will have tried to measure. They've seen that their first wave attacks in April largely didn't have much effect. It looks like they've turned up the wick slightly by only firing ballistic missiles. Once again, their impact has been relatively limited, but they will want to glean the maximum possible propaganda for an internal audience, and that, I think, is what this video is about.
Okay, Sean, thanks very much. Thanks for taking us through those images we just got here at Sky Centre. Thank you. Right, let's take a look now at the weather. Most places look
more treatment available for these rare diseases. So if this study works out really well, this could be offered to every single baby, just like they currently get the Hillbrick, and with the opportunity of making these diagnoses much sooner and much earlier. Really, the power of genomics.
Doctor, it's been absolutely fascinating talking to you. We spend so much time on programs like this, looking at really depressing, distressing images and stories. One of them, this is a story that really brings hope. So thank you for coming on the program, and thank you for explaining it so clearly.
Thank you.
Well, here on the program in a minute or two, we'll have all the latest business news in terms of what is happening in the Middle East, and that spike in oil prices and returns.
Most when they copy you.
Huh?
You are. Videos of. I get money.
Good afternoon. It was an absolutely glorious start to the day, and we'll keep sunny spells
Let's
into
give
the
it a bit
afternoon.
of confidence.
It came at a price.
Let me
Chilly
know more,
start. It was autumn morning so far in Braemar,
Depends
in
what people
Scotland,
think,
and
doesn't
patchy
it? As I say,
distant
last
fog
year,
as well. As you
You
get
have to do.
when high pressure dominates in
I don't know how many.
and that high pressure is going to stay with us for the rest of the day and into tomorrow. But we will
Followers that
start
we
to
have.
see a change developing as we go through the latter stages of Friday into the start of the weekend.
You
There's
just do that
more
one
wet
for you.
and possibly windy
Enjoy
events to
yourself.
come as well. So enjoy the sunshine for the remainder of the afternoon. Sunny spells, a little bit of fair weather clouds developing into the afternoon, and perhaps the breeze picking up and a few isolated showers into western Scotland. But on the whole, temperatures will peak around 13 to 17 degrees, pretty much where they should be for this time of year. As we go through the evening, the winds will continue to strengthen further, and this weather front will bring some showery rain into Northern Ireland and northwest Scotland. Clearer skies across England and Wales will mean temperatures once again into single figures, and because of all the rain that we've had in September, the ground's pretty moist, so we could see further mist and fog forming. The high is drifting slowly eastwards, and that means that these weather fronts will start to push in from the Atlantic, but they are going to make slow progress. So on Friday, the showery rain really sitting across western Scotland, Northern Ireland. We might see more cloud developing through the Isle of Man and West Wales, but on the whole, dry and quiet elsewhere. And once again, just peaking into the mid to high teens in places. Now, as we move out of Friday into Saturday, the next front will start to move in. Again, a slow process being blocked by that high pressure, but some of the rain will start to turn quite heavy across Northern Ireland and northwest Scotland, and the winds will strengthen too. Elsewhere, we should cling on to some sunshine for the bulk of Saturday, maybe some rain pushing into Cornwall and southwest Wales by the end of the day. That frontal system will continue to sweep its way steadily eastwards overnight. So a spell of heavy rain and stronger winds clearing across the country. That will linger first thing on Sunday. And even once it clears, it is going to leave quite a showery story for the second half of the weekend.
When the weather can't make up its mind, we can help you make up yours. Check on the BBC Weather app.
My dad was a farmer, but he also had a radio talk show for farmers who called in with their farming problems. He patiently listened to every conflicting account of what was and wasn't working. That was really influential to how I approach my journalism. Building trust by taking the time to understand the situation clearly before reporting a story. A 24-hour news cycle, patience can be so frustrating. It's a crucial tool. I'm Lucy Hawkins on BBC News Now.
2024 US election looks set to be one of the most extraordinary yet. Could there be further shocks ahead in this historic race to the White House? Get the latest headlines in the BBC News app. Get in-depth coverage on bbc.co.uk/news. Follow the story of the US election on BBC News.
Oil markets on edge. The price of crude jumps on reported comments by President Biden about possible strikes on Iran's oil industry. Also ahead, a bonus for UK borrowers. The governor of the Bank of England says it could be more aggressive on rate cuts if inflation stays under control. Plus, open wallets for open AI. Investors pile into the firm behind ChatGPT, valuing it.
The Bank of England governor suggested that the bank could become more aggressive about reducing borrowing costs. In a marked departure from his previous approach, Andrew Bailey said inflation pressures had become less persistent than first expected. Well, until today, the markets were betting on no change in interest rates next month, but some economists are now predicting that the bank could cut rates at every one of its meetings until May next year.
It's quite surprising, really, because as we all know, you look over your left shoulder across the pond and just see what the Federal Reserve do. And of course, he being Andrew Bailey, preempted with the MPC, the first cut in interest rates down to 5%, as we are really in this country squealing. No other word, the cost of living index and the cost of what we.
Come also says it on us. Like, and I'm gonna say, come on board. One up to 27 episodes, maybe. 29, this time.
Where'd you get that from? This delicious flame-grilled waffle that's only available at Burger King? Yeah. Glad it delivers.
Burger King delivers.
Okay.
Want super healthy looking hair? You got your hair food, the UK's
No,
number
no,
one
no,
hair
no,
mask
no,
brand,
no, no.
infused with vitamins C, G, E, and F, up to 99%
That's
natural
good.
origin ingredients for up to 7 times smoother hair.
Big
All
grass,
certified the green hair is the
milkshake.
healthiest it's ever felt.
Small
UK
and
food,
thick,
but
sweet,
done
yeah.
naturally. I keep my home fresh
Do you
with
want
the
that,
Breeze
huh?
Revolution plugin, and I use this.
No.
Febreze has smart programming to digitally control how much scent is released, so you never stop noticing freshness for up to 90 days. Oh, does mine have smart programming? Febreze also has a refill reminder light. It even reminds you to refill it, so I never miss a day of freshness. Wow, it's so fresh. Upgrade to Febreze Revolution.
Is that steady return driving you to happy? Look, it's back again. Stop chuckling and take control of Flash. Simply shake up the dust magnet's fluffy fibers to trap and lock that dastardly dust wherever it lurks, without moving objects around. Done and duster. Flash Dust Magnet, the must against dust.
Pampers are banana-proof with a revolutionary stop and protect pocket to help prevent leaks at the back. So you will never fear a punani again. Pampers, leak-free night or your money back.
It's not the same one, that's the one I made.
Yeah.
Glazed.
It was entirely human.
There's that. This is the one. Go see on Sunday.
You just signed this, Mr. Goodman.
Oh, yes, of course.
I think we did really
Where
well
am I going with this one?
No,
You?
this one.
Sure, hide in the back of the car.
My dear boy, there's one thing I don't need is a hero. Now, assuming I survive, I shall telephone and let you know.
He loves it though. He goes in his nephew.
Keep him in sight. No tailgating. Understand?
He loves to use it. They make him out. They make him land. And then just hollering and dropping. Yeah. That's all.
It's about time. Yeah, okay. Take Sunset to Surf Road. North on Surf, 4.6 miles. You got 15 minutes to get there.
I think you're stopping, Lieutenant. Pull up and turn off the lights. Yes, sir.
Yeah, yes, this one before.
Did you ever see one of these before, Lieutenant?
I'm not sure I have it. Looks kind of familiar.
It's a camera-mounted starlight scope. They use them quite a bit at Berkeley for night work.
You mean that takes pictures in the dark?
I bought this one myself.
You used your own money?
Well, I wanted to have the best equipment for the job, sir.
You must be a bachelor.
well.
Lieutenant, we've got some very clear footprints here, going and coming. Good, we'll have some movement cast made. I think we better go. Lieutenant, I believe I'd rather take some three-dimension photographs, if you don't mind. We pretty much stopped using mirage casts, you know. We have. Oh, with footprints, yes, indeed. You see, we found that when the plaster swells, it makes them appear a half to a full size larger than they really are. No kidding. Oh, absolutely. Well, then maybe we better take pictures. Yes, as quickly as you can, sir. Yes.
You know, still working.
Oh, it's you, Columbo.
Yes, sir. I hope we didn't scare you, Detective Sergeant Wilson.
You didn't scare me, but the kidnapper did. That mask-grabber. Frankly, I'm a little unraveled.
Well, that's quite natural, Mr. Goodman, believe me.
Thank you.
Sir, we're kind of interested in exactly what happened up there on that hill.
Well, the man said, Goodland. I said, yes. He says, give me the money. I gave him the money. I hope he didn't surround those trees he ran into.
Oh, no, sir. Yes, we agree. We're going to stay out of this thing until your nephew's released. You wouldn't recognize him again, will you, if you saw him? The guy up there on the hill?
I told you, he had a stocking mask on.
Yeah. It was pretty dark up there, too. His voice, anything familiar about his voice and the way he walked, maybe?
Lieutenant, it's not a fatiguing and rather frightening evening. Can't this wait until tomorrow?
Yeah, I'm sorry, sir. I guess it must seem to you that we're not being...
Why did you open the box?
I presume that's Gallows.
They don't know where to go. Come on, was
We deny because there's money in the box.
I'm thinking now, why you got how you get away from it?
There's still somebody in the box.
That's exactly it.
Mm-hmm.
They're killing that for good. Get the money. So
So long. We had to be sure that the Neanderthal policeman wasn't following us.
Well, it was Harry when he stopped you, I'll tell you that.
Well, I'll take the night.
And no, I'll take it.
there's nothing left for our money.
I've really got to hand it to you, Uncle Jar. Unbreakable trust. Broken to
So
the joke
what
of 300.
Where that one come from money?
And these lovely
Well,
grapes. Beautiful.
Where you got that money?
Beautiful of you to waste your half on that woman.
That woman happens to be my wife, and I want to keep her. Money's what it takes. Money's what she'll have.
What a waste. No, Tony, no. The time has now come for me to explain to you phase 3.
the wife don't really want to. You know what I mean? After the money, that's it.
Every occasion has its own conventions. Roses for
I mean, tell them all
weddings,
about it,
lilies
not
for
listen to
funerals.
the other one.
But we all have our personal preferences.
Spend a lot of money on it all the time. I give them that other man.
Jenny over there has been thinking ahead. She's
That's
taken
really
out an attended
really
funeral
bad
plan
with
for
this.
Gloria Friends and family can give her a proper send-off. So not only are all her costs covered, she's already
Well,
chosen
that's right.
exactly what she wants included in the service. I thanks the
I
flowers.
better shut the blinds this time.
Yeah.
Other plans that suit different budgets.
I shut this one.
Memorial Funerals Essentials Plan. And no fuss
What is the time now?
termination.
Memorial Funerals are one of the UK's leading funeral plan providers. They are rated excellent on Trustpilot, and their plans start from just £1,490.
A call to Memorial Funerals could be one of the best arrangements we'll ever make.
Call now for your free guide on 0800 007 3862 or visit memorialfunerals.co.uk.
This is the front line of a cost of living crisis. That's why I'm urgently asking you to give the Trust Trust £10. We're seeing more people forced to turn to food banks in communities across the UK. More people worried about how to afford the essentials. The to lower flat pension fees, you could retire with more. Helping you get the most out of your pension. Interactive Investor, a which recommended SIP provider 3 years running. The IIC, your personal pension. Hey, Tom goes. Calm down. Just a bit of bingo. Open for fun. When you're setting up a new nest, starting your own flock, or they just keep on growing. Get the flexibility you need with Very Pay. Pay now, pay later, or pay over 3 months and pay no interest. We'll even send you helpful payment reminders. Shop the online store for fashion, home, and more. Very Pay. Ways to pay that work your way. Are you looking to lose weight? It's so easy with Dream Plan. All your delicious meals are delivered to your door. That's 28 breakfast, 28 lunches, 28 dinners, and 28 snacks. Wondering how much it costs? It's £42.70 a meal. It's less than the cost of a teacup coffee. Go to dreamplan.com.
I did already.
All our plans, prices,
I finished.
and you can get started today. I've never felt better and a whole new me. Visit dreamplan.com. Visit dreamplan.com or call 0800 600 168.
Right now, with O2, you can save £48 on our 100 gig data set. Now just £20 a month. O2, see what you can do.
What do I know? Certainly not everything. I don't know exactly how or why we fall in love. I don't know how I didn't see how beautiful I was there. I don't know what this is, but I like it. I don't know the latest move, but I do know I should dance. I know little things matter a lot. I am happy with what I've got. The older I get, the less I know. And the more I try to live in a way.
For thousands of years, people have gazed in wonder at these mammoth superstructures. How do they build them? Why do they build them? What do we still not know? Join me as we travel across the globe in search of answers.
Mysteries of the Pyramids with Dara O'Brien. Monday at 9 on 5 Select and My 5.
Colombo. Oh, good morning, Mr. Goodwin. I was hoping I'd find you up. Your gardener said I might find you here.
You have something on Tony?
No, sir, no. I'm afraid we haven't gotten any kind of a report at all, sir.
That sounds ominous.
Oh, he could pop up any minute now, sir. Of course, there is that possibility that once they get him to write the letter, make the phone call, but you never know.
You mean they may have waited until the ransom money was paid and then... That's a grisly thought.
Well, you just never know. But it's good to be positive. I always like to think positive.
That's all you came here to talk to me about?
No, sir. No, I didn't. Sir, I was hoping that you'd be able to make a suggestion. My wife has tried everything she knows to get this thing to grow. This African violet here. I was hoping maybe you'd be able to make a suggestion.
That is the most miserable specimen I've ever seen. I only advise to you, Columbus, to throw it in the trash can.
Yeah. I was afraid you were going to say that. Well, what are you going to do? Listen, as long as I'm here, I might as well bring up one or two little things I didn't get to before. Your nephew's Rick Clark, for instance. You know, we found that thing with the ignition and lights off and the gear in neutral.
Neutral. But the letter said he was forced off the road. Perhaps they grabbed Tony and then pushed the car over the side and keep it out of sight, don't you think?
Yeah, that's what it looks like, all right. Of course, only then one of them made that first telephone call to Mrs. Goodwin.
Well, that was to make her believe the letter when she got it. She's a very hard woman to convince of anything.
I wonder how they knew that. Funny. And those skid marks. I mean, they're really funny. Say, what is this thing?
That is a mother coming from Brazil.
You don't say, really?
Skid marks, Lieutenant?
Skid marks? Oh, yeah, they were marks of a heavier car in that little tube. Well, you know, boy, they can really travel. I don't know how the heavier car caught up with them.
But they took a shot at him, isn't that what he said?
Yeah, that's what the letter. Well, you know something? The line of fire then bullet through the window. Well, that slug would have passed right through him. I mean, if it was driving the car. But it didn't. I mean, nothing. You know, no blood, nothing. Just a 32 caliber slug in his teeth.
Well, you see, Tony's been ducking things at Fort you for years.
Right. That's very good, sir. You want this? Listen, sir. You've got a gun yourself, haven't you? The good one, also a 32, I think.
Yes, there's one around here somewhere. I haven't seen it for almost a year. Tony gives it me. It's around the house somewhere. Lieutenant, you've been checking up on me.
Oh, no, sir, no, I just happened to run across a police report you filed all the way back there sometime. Yeah, I had it here a minute ago. I know what happened to it. Had to do with somebody breaking into the greenhouse here.
Solarium.
Oh, solarium, right, I stand corrected. I got this telephone bill I gotta take care of. Oh, here we go. There we go. Yeah, I guess a guy broke in and, what happened? You took some pot shot down or something?
Colombo, your mom. Transparent, but mom. You just happened to run across this report?
Well,
I'd forgotten all about it. I did take a couple of shots, but all I had was a pile of dirt over there. I scared me more than I scared the prowler.
Well, you know, with all the glass you got here and the prices the way they are, it's a good thing we shot low.
Well, I confess. I have to change and get to work.
Confess to what, sir?
To having an unregistered weapon somewhere in the house. That's what you're leading up to, is it?
Oh, no, sir. Oh, no, not at all. Listen, if I arrested everybody with an unregistered weapon in Los Angeles, believe me, I'd have half the population in jail.
Then why are you here, Colombo?
This is magnificent.
I asked you a question.
I'm sorry, sir. I love this game. I said when I was a kid, this is such a beautiful table here. I'm sorry, sir. I didn't mean to hold you up. You know, in my house, I don't have room for a table in my basement. Even if I could afford one. I've got these pictures here, sir. These were taken with a starlight scope. That's a very sophisticated instrument. I'd like you to take a look at them. You know, since you were right there, right on this fire.
Where are these pictures taken from?
All the way down at the bottom of the hill. They don't show very much. Which is kind of funny, too. You don't mind, eh?
What was kind of funny, too?
The rest of it, I thought it was. What's funny is that the place where they asked me to deliver the ranch, you know, way up on top of the hill like that there, I mean, it's almost as though they wanted to have a place that was exposed in order to be photographed. What do you think?
I think it's very odd.
So do I. I think this whole case is odd. You know what I mean? I mean, you got those skid marks, and you got the bullet hole. I'll tell you, in most cases, you don't have any clues. You can't miss a shot. In this case, I got so many clues, they don't know where to start. You know, it's almost like they put them there just on purpose.
You're the detective. Don't ask me for your actions.
Well, I can't miss a shot. Isn't that wonderful? Oh, there is one thing that I did want to ask you, sir. You know what this whole game is? It's all risk. You just got to keep that loose. What I wanted to ask you was, why do you think they asked you to deliver the money instead of the wife?
Because they probably knew that if Catherine had that much money in the car, she'd just keep on driving.
I wonder how they knew that.
Yes? It's for you, Colombo.
Oh, I told him I was going to be here. I hope you don't mind. Yeah, come on. I'll be there as soon as I can. We've got some very bad news.
What?
They found find your nephew's body. He's been murdered.
According to the coroner's intern, the bullet apparently went directly through the heart. Fired at extremely close range is indicated by the gunpowder traces. Total envelopment of body by rigor mortis, which is of course units that pictures the time of death at about 10 to 12 hours ago. Caliber of the bullet still to be determined following the autopsy. Remove the body, man. Is that all right with you, sir? Snap to it. Move it. Call me as soon as you've got it loaded. I'll come along. I want that autopsy report quick as I can get it, sir. Lieutenant, as you probably noticed, there are 3 cups, 3 plates, 3 different brands of cigarettes. That means there were 2 persons here besides the victim. That's obvious.
Yeah. Awfully obvious. I understand you were his receptionist for a while.
Who told you?
Well, his wife sort of mentioned it.
Her. I can just imagine. Strike that from the record.
Oh, don't worry. That's a good picture of Tony right there, isn't it?
Oh, I know what you're thinking. The secret love life of the murdered man.
Well, we sort of like to contact people who know him, regardless in what way, and I understand that you two have been acquainted with him.
You get this straight, Lieutenant. There was no
Are we
love
going?
there. I don't care who told you what. There just
I
wasn't.
think you left it off, anyway.
Well, did you see? Miss Spicer, I'm not here to hurt you, and I believe everything you tell me. I just think you can help me, and I'd appreciate it if you would.
59 stumps. I make it 60.
My hanky.
I make it 60 this one. 60 stumps.
Hanky.
I have them.
No, that's one. If it's all right, let's stay on with this one.
You.
It seems all right. I've used it a lot more, so that 6 sometimes should be all right. But
you still need to bring that one. In case.
what is that there?
63. 63 tons. I just love that one. I game this one. Hmm.